The Jellison podcast is presented by Indy Lumberjack. They proudly offer reasonable rates, safe, top quality, courteous, efficient service. Let Indy Lumberjack help you reach your goal of maintaining beautiful and safe trees. They're by far the best in the business. You can get a free quote on indylumberjack.com or email indylumberjack@gmail.com for inquiries. Again, get a free quote on indylumberjack.com. What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode of the Jellison podcast, and today I have UFC Bantamweight Miles Johns. Miles, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I know you told me earlier in the week. I want to say congrats on you guys having your third child here in the next week or so. I know that's super exciting for you guys.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it is exciting, man. Finally feel like this baby stage and pregnancy stage. So it's real exciting. I'm happy, and I'm so excited to meet the third baby boy, man. They're all different. They're they're the same, but they're so different. It's crazy.
Yeah. Has having a family changed how you've kind of had an outlook on your career in MMA as a whole?
Man, absolutely. I mean, before I was just like some young kid who wanted to fight MMA and wanted to try to make living out of it. And it's like, this is really what I do. This is what I put my time into. If I'm not with my family, then I'm training. This is my career. So it's definitely gave me a different outlook. It's made me train different. It's made me it's just changing my life in a whole. I can't remember a time having kids really knows that I know that I've grown so much in the process, but it's like I can't even remember not having kids. So it's sorry, my phone slipped there. It's definitely it's been a huge change, and I'm just so grateful for him. So
Mm-hmm. How old are your other two?
my oldest one is 4, and my youngest one is 2. So I got a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and then gonna have a newborn. So we're trying to get them all through, get them all through that baby stage and stuff, and have them grow up together. That's how me my siblings were. I have my sister and then my brother and younger brother, and we're all like 2 years apart, just boom, boom, boom. And I think that keeps them tight knit. And I won't be having a baby when I'm like 45
Yeah.
years old. So yeah.
Yeah. Are they old enough to kind of realize what you do for a living, or are they too young for that?
They realize it. Like my oldest one, he's like I said, he's 4. He's just now starting to get a real grasp of it, and he really watched my last fight. They both watched my last fight. It was the first one that they watched, but he's definitely getting a grasp and understanding what's going on. My youngest one, he's real smart. He knows what I do, and like if I say I'm going to work or something, he'll like kind of do his little shadow boxing and stuff. And then when they see the UFC, they say Dad has work and stuff like that. But my older one, he has a real solid grasp on it. He knows that I'm going to fight and that I could win or lose. When I was leaving, it was the last time I was going to see them. I was telling him like, it's the last time I see you before my fight, blah, blah. And he kind of started tearing up and stuff. He's a real empathetic dude and real, I wouldn't say emotional, but he's he's really in tune with emotions, and he knows what's going on. He's a real sensitive, smart, sweet kid. So he kind of started tearing up when I was leaving and stuff. And that was a big moment for me because I realized how much he does have a grasp on it and how much he is invested. And that means more to me than words can really describe. So, but yeah, he's just starting to get a grasp on it and stuff. So, I mean, as time goes on, they'll learn and understand it more and more. But I kind of enjoy the phase when they just know that their dad's kind of like his son. That's pretty. I want them really thinking about the possibility of me winning and losing and all that comes with it. So,
Yeah, that's super cool. I've always wanted to ask like a fighter this. Is there anyone like maybe a dad of one of your son's friends that like try to come up to you and talk about fighting or anything like that? Maybe someone from the school, or they kind of like leave you be?
No, they ask about it. I mean, it's kind of, the closer I mean, yeah, ask about it. It's kind of like at a surface level most of the time. It's kind of just like, hey, how you feeling? Like you get to win, that type of stuff. But it's a little more once they get a little deeper or closer than surface level, then they ask a little more and stuff. And I mean, I appreciate it.
Mm,
Most of the time people want to ask, and I ask them about what they do too. Most of the time you don't really want to just go off talking about what you do. I mean, I'm sure you experience the same thing. If people ask you what you do, you might just say, "Oh, I have a podcast,"
yeah.
but you don't want to just go off without them asking more details. Oh, how does that work? Like, when do you do that? Like, you know what I mean? But as
Mm,
they ask more questions, and I'm more than happy to open up and talk to them about it a little more. But I also just try to make sure it's not like it's kind of a center of attention thing, like if you're a fighter or in the UFC, wherever you go, it's like people feel the necessity to have to ask you about that or talk about that. But I try to make sure I ask other people about what they do too, because this for me is really just a job. I mean, I love it. It's who I am. My career. I mean, it's just been who I am my whole life. You know what I mean? So like other people in their job or their careers, I'm sure that's who they are, and that's what their life revolves around too. So the more I ask them about what they do and the details of it and stuff like that, the more than I like that, because I get to really I get to give people the inside knowledge of what it's really like to be a pro fighter. Like what it's and not just what people may think it's like. I get to really tell them, and they get a real grasp that's good for the MMA community in a whole.
mm. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that like with my mom, she doesn't like MMA or UFC or anything like that. She kind of thinks that all these fighters are all these like super tough dudes that like that's all they do is fight, and she doesn't really look behind the fighter in the way that I've been able to with all the podcasts that I've been able to do. So I think it's really cool that you can kind of look behind the fighter and like your son's parents, your son's friends' parents can kind of like see who you actually are as opposed to just seeing you fight on TV.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I agree. And I mean, you say look beyond the fighter and stuff. I mean, we're all fighters in different ways. So,
Yeah,
it's looking beyond humans, and.
yeah.
But yeah.
So obviously we're in the midst of this whole COVID-19 pandemic. How have you kind of used that to hang around with your family and try to start getting ready for your third child?
I mean, to be honest with you, my life hasn't really changed too much. I mean, I'm with my family anyway. I'm doing the stuff I do anyway. I'm kind of like a fighter and stay-at-home dad. So, I stay away from the club scene or going out to eat or anything like that too much, regardless. But it's changed things a little bit. I mean, the biggest thing I think is that kids' areas aren't open as much.
Yeah.
Like I can't take my kids play and let them just play in the play area and stuff like that. I mean, that's a big hit for my day. Or some at the beginning, some parks went open and stuff like that. That was tough. But it's giving me perspective. I'm super grateful that it doesn't affect kids as much as it affects older people and things like that. Because if it was a disease that affected kids, I know that I'd have a completely different outlook on it, and the stress level would be way, way higher. So as for the families that it has affected and the people that it has affected, but it's just kind of an eye-opening experience to me of what we need to be prepared for as a whole, as a human race and stuff. Because let's say that COVID-19 affected kids and healthy middle-aged people and older people all the same, it would be a whole different ball game. So yeah, I'm just taking it one day at a time and trying to do what I can.
Mhm. And then I saw just recently, actually, when I was doing a little bit of research, I saw you do doodles in the rough. I thought that was really cool. So for people that don't know about that, talk about that and kind of how that came to be.
Yeah, it's just me and my wife's business. We raise golden doodles. We have a couple, 4 or 5 moms that are rotating throughout the year. Rotating, I mean, and having litters that we're breeding. And it's awesome, man. I love golden doodles. I think they're the best dogs in the world. They're incredibly personable. They understand human emotions. They're so in tune. I don't even have to, like, I can be chilling with my doodles and I don't have to talk to them. Like, they understand what I'm thinking. They feel me if I'm mad. They feel me if I'm happy. And that's dogs in general, you know. But for some reason, golden doodles have a different way about them. They look in the eyes, and a lot of dogs don't really like to look you in the eyes, but they do when you really feel what they're feeling, and they just take on your feelings, you know. Like, if you're angry, they're gonna feel that too, or they're gonna feel like anxious that you're angry. They're gonna feel full of love too. So I just love them, man. They're great dogs, and it's a great business because my wife and I can do it from home. You know, like I'm at home and I'm taking care of my moms and taking care of puppies when we have them, and it's awesome. And then we're blessed in families with beautiful. I mean, when people come over, whether they have kids or don't have kids, whatever it is, anytime you get a new puppy, it's a great day. So we have everybody who's contact with us or in contact with us and wanting to get a puppy is prepared for a great day. And when they come get their puppy, it's a great day for them. So I just really enjoy it, man. It's a great business to be in. And my wife's mom is actually the one who started us on it. She's been raising golden doodles for decades. She's like an OG with it. She knows everything there is to know about golden doodles. So yeah, she's a guru. So I just appreciate the guidance, and I love to be able to be at home with my family and my kids doing it. My point to where they don't want to let the puppies go. So that's a whole new thing we're gonna have to tackle, but we'll be ready. We'll deal with that as it comes to.
How often, like, I know you said there's 5 that kind of cycle through. How often do they have puppies, and how many are usually like in each litter?
It's so random. I mean, I have like 5 moms, but maybe one year all 5 of them cycle twice. Maybe one year only 3 of them cycle once. So I could have 3 litters a year. It just depends on them. You know. It's just like women with getting pregnant. Sometimes they get pregnant. I mean, every time they try, sometimes it doesn't happen the way it is. So I mean, this year, thank God for that. And everybody in quarantine has decided they want a puppy. You know, we're all home. We can potty train a puppy. So it's been a great year for our business, and I'm so grateful for that. But yeah, usually I would say on average we have about 5 litters a year.
All right, dope. So what did your training schedule look like? Obviously, you're in Texas, correct?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming, like, from what I've heard, Texas isn't totally shut down. So how was your training affected, and like, what would your weekly training schedule be like, both before and during this COVID time?
The shutdown was only for it. It was only for a little bit. You know, it wasn't for too long. Things are still different. That wasn't for too long. But anyway, like, yeah, my training schedule I just pretty much try to do a 2-day. You know, I try to start my morning with training. Well, I start my morning with my family, get up, get my kids fed, get them going and stuff, get them dressed, whatever it is. And then I like to train right away. Training, eat, relax, recover, whatever. And then I always do a training evening. I pretty much start my day with training, end my day with training, and that keeps me on track. All the things in between the day we'll handle. You know, I can eat right throughout the day. I can drink my water throughout the day. But where people get lost is in the morning. If you don't start your morning right, you eat donuts for breakfast or whatever it is, Eggo waffles, and your morning's not going to start right, and you're probably not going to get on track the whole day. Or you can be on track the whole day, and then at nighttime you get off track, and then your day is not really ruined, but I mean, you're not as motivated and stuff. So I just always like to start my day with training and end my day with training, and that keeps me on track, keeps my mind focused, and everything keeps my body be.
Mm-hmm. And then you only fought once during this pandemic time, and it was on Halloween on the same card as Anderson Silva. So what was that whole experience like?
Anderson Silva, yeah, but also on the same card as my teammate Uriah Hall, who beat Anderson Silva that night. And we went through the whole training camp together. Yeah, we were doing all of our sessions together and stuff. So that's pretty awesome. I mean, mad respect for him. I've been watching. I mean, obviously he's a GOAT of the game, but I was happy to see my guy Uriah beat him because he's been deserving of it. But I loved fighting during the pandemic, honestly. Um, everything was so to the point. There was no room for any BS. You know, they had a personal car for you wherever you need to go. It was all very time restricted and very boom, boom, boom. And that's how I like to operate. And so I operate in my day. It's here, there, here. Like, I mean, I like it just kind of how I am. So I liked it. I know that it's short lived, and I'm going to be happy for when the fans are able to be back, and I'm going to, I'll be happy to get back to the normal way, I guess. But also at the same time, I'm enjoying this pandemic time where it's just like, I mean, weigh-ins was like, you make weight, or you go to the scale at the hotel to check your weight. Weigh-ins start at 9 a.m. They end at 11 a.m. You can go there anytime you want. The cars are waiting for you. If you show up there at 9, you get right on the schedule, or right on the scale. You make weight, and then you get to rehydrate. It's very like there's no room for BS. So I really like that. It was a cool experience.
So pre-COVID, what was that weigh-in kind of process like? Because you've mentioned twice that there's really no BS. So what was like all involved in that weight, like not weight cutting process, but actually weighing in?
Like pre-COVID, it was like you show up there at 9 or 11, whatever it is, and then you got to do some paperwork and all this stuff, and then they put you on the scale in order of like the card or however it is. Post-COVID, it's like weighing is from 9 to 11. You get in your car, you go over to the weigh-in area. Whoever shows up in that time, they get to get on the scale right away, and then you do your paperwork and all this stuff. It's not, I mean, it was just very very on point, very, very fast.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, previous to your last fight, you suffered your first professional loss in MMA. So how did you kind of bounce back and reset your mind? I know I read an article from the UFC site that you were talking about how it was kind of a burden lifted off of your shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. I mean, it's just like I didn't really feel like I had that burden before. Once it happened, then I felt the weight of that burden lift off my shoulders, and it was. I mean, it was just yeah, it was just a freeing experience. I've been before that, even in my amateur career, I'd only lost like my second fight as an amateur, and then I won 5 fights in a row after that, and then 9 pro fights. So 14 fights in a row, and you don't get out this game unscathed, and you always know that. And I think I went into the UFC with that. I mean, I knew potential, and I knew what I had, and I know that I'm going to be a champion. But at the same time, you know that you're going to face some adversity in life and everything. You're going to face adversity. So it's kind of like waiting for that and waiting to see how you'd react to that. And once I saw it, and once I met it face to face, it just was a real eye-opening and real relieving, I guess. And so it is what it is, man. I'm all props to Mario. It was his night that night. I don't really consider him the better fighter. I think I won round 1, and he caught me. I mean, he had a good game plan. He worked on that. He caught me. There's no excuses. It is what it is. But it let me know that I can be a champion, and that once you face that adversity, I mean, it's just like you can do it. You can deal with anything. So I'm happy I got that out of the way, and I've been ready to just get started on my career after that. So.
So what kind of changed for you in your head and physically, both outside of the octagon and inside the octagon? Like, what kind of changes did you make?
Didn't really have to make too many changes in training. It's just you're free. I just felt, I guess I just felt a little free. It didn't really matter. I've seen the worst of it. And I mean, it wasn't just me. I mean, also my wife, we watch fights together all the time, and we see somebody get knocked out, and we'll talk about it a little bit. She never wants to see me in that position and stuff. So for everybody behind me, all my family and everything like that, it was like, I mean, I was the undefeated fighter. The one fight I lost in my amateur career was real controversial. I was smashing that guy, and then the ref stopped it a bet. I mean, it was real controversial. So I'll just leave it at that. But everybody kind of seeing me as like would never lose, So I think it was just we all experienced that together. I saw that it wasn't that big of a deal, and there wasn't really many changes I had to make, except it was just a natural feeling,
And then
I could just fight. I could fight my fight, and then and there's nothing to worry about.
yeah, 100%. And obviously you showed that with your last outing, that KO win. I mean, that was no. I showed all my friends that when I was talking to you about coming on the podcast. They're all like, "Oh man, he's a savage, man." So, what did that? I mean, that was your first finish in the UFC. What did that feel like?
That was also a very freeing moment. I mean, it's all like a crazy game, Like I was looking to try to hurt that guy the whole time, and I was looking for some heavy shots and things like this. But the uppercut that I actually put him out was one that I wasn't really throwing heavy. It was like it was a natural thing. We're in the transition. Everything we train in our gym is fighting in the transition, and I just threw the uppercut naturally, and it touched him and put him out. So that was a great experience too. I feel like if you're in a game and you unlock the next level, I feel like I unlock the next level to have that. It's like a touch, I don't have to. I'm a strong guy, explosive guy. I try to hit people hard every time I'm in there with them. But sometimes it's the shots I hit people hard with. It's the ones that just you let go and that you train for and that are natural, that are really going to put people lights out. So throwing that and seeing the effects of it has really been eye-opening too. And I'm like, man, I just got to go out there and flow. And if I flow, one of these shots are going to land and put people lights out. So it's been a whole nother, we entered a whole new level. So it was awesome.
So then moving on from that, do you have your eye on anyone that you think could be a possible opponent for your next bout?
Yeah, a couple guys. Nathan Maines just had a good knockout. He's 2-0 in the UFC. A new guy to the game, kind of a up-and-comer that I'd like to fight him. Chris Gutierrez, he said my name a couple times, and we've been looking at each other on the local scene for a while. I'd love to fight him. Domingo Pilarte, he was mad when I beat one of his teammates and stuff, and now he's a bantamweight in the UFC. I'd love to fight him too. I mean, I'm just watching the bantamweight division. COVID has been such a blessing with so many guys getting signed and in the UFC and stuff. There's the opportunities are endless. So there's a couple guys that I'm thinking about, but I also know that there's a ton of guys that I maybe haven't even heard of them or maybe saw a glimpse and don't remember their name, but I'm just game and ready for anybody. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we've reached a different level and that I'm going to tap into my true potential really, and we're going to make our run. We're ready to make our run. So yeah, I'm just ready to go whenever they call me.
Mm-hmm. And then looking farther down the line, is there anyone that's maybe ranked in like top 10, top 5 that you've kind of been eyeing for a while, maybe been a fan of theirs in the past that you're looking forward to possibly fighting?
I mean, I know all those guys in top rankings too, and they really weren't that far ahead of me in sense of like time-wise. Mm-hmm. I mean, Ricky Simone was the LFA champion. He was a champion right before I was a champion. So he was the LFA champion. He went to the UFC, then I was the LFA champion. He's like number 9 in the division now. Casey Kinney stepped in for a fight that I actually broke my hand. I broke my hand and was supposed to fight for the LFA belt against Chero. And he was able to step in and take that fight, knock Vince out, got to the UFC. Now he's about to fight Dominic Cruz. So I see all these guys, and this level is all – rankings are one thing, but we're all on the same platform, you know what I mean? So I would jump into any of those fights, and I feel like I'd be ready because those guys were barely ahead of me, They were seniors when I was a junior. So it is what it is with that. I'm ready for them. So, yes, I'm eyeing those guys, and I see potential fights there, but the bantamweight division is just flipping stacked. They're starting to work their way through it now. Cheeto Vera's finally like ranked number 14. I think really he's a top 5 guy. You know what I mean? So I think there's some fights that need to be made to really get some legit rankings going on in that division. And once that happens, then maybe I'll have a goal fight. But right now, all those guys in the top 10, they're not really goal fights. It's just like they're fights that could happen at any time, and you know what I mean? If we're fighting in the street, like, let's go. You guys aren't better than me. I know they're not better than me. I could be in the top 10. So I'm trying to stay humble, but you also got to be you also got to be ready. I mean, it's a fight game. You know what I mean? There's not much of a difference between 10th ranked guy and the 30th ranked guy or 40th ranked guy. You should be ready to fight anybody. So, yeah, I'm just keeping my eye on the division, man, and I'm just waiting to see what the plan is, what God has planned for me.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, there are some damn good matchups coming up. You got Jose Aldo and Chito Vera, like you mentioned. Marlon Moraes and Rob Font are fighting on that same card. And then next year, you got Dominic Cruz and Casey Kenny, like you mentioned. And then they're going to try to rebook Jan versus Sterling. So how do you think some of those fights go?
Yeah. I think Dominic Cruz beats Casey Kenny. I think I think he wins that. I don't know. Otto and Vera is a good fight, but in my head, it's like, why not Otto and Cruz? Because those guys were two like ex champs, like in high up there, and then Chito and Kenny. I mean, Chito and Kenny to me is a super telling fight because those dudes are two prospects coming up. I mean, to see those two dudes fight and to see who wins that is a very telling fight, in my opinion. Or you could throw Jonathan Martinez in there, who's had some good knockouts lately. Like, throw him in the mix, like Chito, Kenny, and Dominic Cruz, and Ricky Simone. I mean, you make those four guys fight, we're going to really see who could be the next champ in the bantamweight division and go from there. Aljamain Sterling and Petr Yan is a very good fight. I really don't know. I mean, if Aljamain's on, I think he wins. If he's not on, which a lot of times he's not on, then, I mean, Petr Yan could definitely break him and get that dub. Jermaine's natural ability could get him the win. It's just, yeah, man, the bantamweight division is very we don't know what's going on right now. We don't know who's the best. Since, I mean, I think Triple C was definitely the best in the division. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's cringy. I think he was the absolute best. And now that he's gone, we don't really know who the best is, I don't feel like. So it's going to be – this next year is going to be a real telling year for this division.
Mm-hmm. And then I wanted to get your opinion on something that's kind of been like out in the news recently. TJ Dillashaw is coming off his suspension in January, so a little less than a month. So do you think that he deserves a title fight, or do you think that he should have to earn it back with a win or two before he goes and fights for the title again?
I think he should have one win. I think he should fight somebody like Corey Sandhagen. Mm-hmm. The winner of that gets the next shot at the belt. It's kind of crazy for him to come right into a title fight. I mean, he's one of the greatest of all times too. But yeah, I think one win will. I mean, if he is one of the greatest of all times, and still isn't, one win isn't nothing, right? Make him fight one time against Corey Sandhagen, and then winner of that gets title shot.
Yeah, I mean that makes all the sense in the world to me. Hopefully the UFC will make that. But I mean, I've held you for long enough. I don't want to hold you any longer. Thank you so much for doing this, man. It's truly an honor, and I'm excited to see you get back in there soon.
Hey, I appreciate it, dog.
Yeah, take care. Stay safe.
Having me on. All right, you too.